Evening folks, this is BestInSlot and we are back building our Planet Zoo sandbox build, our African, Northern African, Southern African sandbox build. And today I beat my head against the wall. I don't really know how else to put it. This was just one of those times where I knew I had to do something, and I knew I wanted to get started, and I knew I wanted to play the game, but nothing flowed for me. Everything was hard work. We got there in the end, but you'll see what I mean. It's fine. We still can have some fun and make some cool stuff, and we are going to try to make some cool stuff. So I'm building yet another dome. This will be my last dome for a while because I've gone too hard on the domes. But for this was basically meant to be the entrance to the North African part of the zoo. Remember, the North African part is the part that's a lot more rugged, a lot more rural, a lot tougher and such. And I really wanted to draw from real life inspiration for this quite a lot. So this whole build is actually, I do put some of my own stuff in there, but generally speaking, very realistic. I literally took an image off an African village and based all of my designs on their designs. So the hut is very little mud and primarily lots and lots of thatch. This huge thatch roof, just like the design I saw on Pinterest. And I was trying to recreate their fence. Their fence was very interesting. It was like these bundles of sticks on top of each other pointing forwards, and they were tied together with rope and tied together with other sticks. And then the end of those fences, using the same material, kind of turned into like these totems. So that's what we're going to try to build here. The hut is very, very chill, very, very simple. But, yeah, fence. I got there eventually. So the idea is they like lay all these sticks on top of each other and then they bind them together and it makes this really, really strong fence. I really wanted to recreate this image as best I could. I will tell you what I'll do. Whilst this is malarkey's going on the left, I will tab on the right hand side and I will find the image so I can show you at the end. You can see exactly what I based my inspiration from. But this is the totem. The totem, I want to call it a totem. It was totem-esque, but it was basically more bundles of sticks that was then flanked by sort of pillars, and then it had these kind of horns jutting out from the side. So we're going to try to recreate all of that as realistically as we can, as I do things on the other page. Sorry. Yeah, I found it. Okay, so I'll show you this at the end. But I think I got a pretty decent version of it. My problem with this isn't really how it ended up looking, because it does look like it was meant to look. It's just, it doesn't feel like a zoo at this point, so I kind of want to get back to that. This was nice, a nice bit of theming, very nice thematically. That's right, we're going there already. But in terms of feeling like an actual viable zoo, this definitely doesn't. So that's something we're going to have to try to get back to relatively quickly. I don't mind doing this as like an introductory section, but I think it does need to still feel like an actual zoo. Anyways, these are the totems. Like I said, the fence comes along and then it junts upwards. Junts is a new word, we're going to use it. It's juts and shunts. Junts upwards. And what I really wanted was horns. And these were actually pretty good. These are the claws. So the whole thing ends up looking quite violent and quite oppressive. And not necessarily what I wanted, but it's realistic. It is literally what it looks like. There's these totems that they come up and they've got these huge bones, these huge tusks kind of erupting out of the side, and it looks something like that. They're actually, white like bone would be, but for some reason they haven't given me giant bones in Planet Zoo, so what are you going to do? We're going to do a decent amount of terrain modification. I don't know, I've been thinking a lot about how I want to lay this zoo out, and I like the idea. My thought was for the North Africa bit, which is what we're working on here, that you kind of walk forward, and I want it to feel like you're entering this new world. Originally, we were going to kind of keep them fairly similar. I decided to kind of go against that, and I want it to kind of feel like you're entering this whole new place. This like you're being whisked off to North Africa itself. And that's why we're doing, this pathway into the dome. That's why it's all a bit more rugged and more realistic rather than zoo-esque in its design. That was kind of my thinking in the first place. So it doesn't really look like a zoo, but we can make the rest of it look like a zoo. Let's say this is like the introductory bit. I don't know. It was meant to originally be an aardvark. I spent about half an hour building an aardvark habitat and it just wasn't working for me, so I decided to go this way instead. I think we are going to bring the aardvark in. It's going to be part of this, but we're not there quite yet. Not doing the faces. Do we do anything on top of there? I don't think so. They actually look pretty good. Got to choose my music. They actually do look pretty good. They look quite a lot like the ones from the from the image I had on Pinterest. So I decided to basically leave them as they were. They were a little bit simple looking, and maybe not the most exciting things in the world, but realism really was the goal for this. I think the African one's going to be much more story-based. Like I said, the South Africa was meant to be modern and modern technologies and water, you know, because they were supplied by the river. It allowed them. They were supplied by the river. It allowed them to grow a lot quicker. It allowed them to expand as a society, because society expands around water. North Africa was denied that in this version of North Africa, so that's why they kind of got left behind a bit. Now there is a beauty and a nobility in their own way of life, don't get me wrong. It's just very, very different. It has to be themed different. Is the theory. Is what I was going with. I don't know, it just felt like hard work. I do build some pretty cool stuff though. I had fun trying to like recreate what we're seeing on the image as realistically as possible. This bit was a pain in the ass. There's like this overhang over the entrance. I wanted it to be low to the ground. You'll notice the whole thing is sunk down. I really wanted a feeling of closeness, a little bit of claustrophobia, but not too much. Again, this is meant to be a zoo for humans, so I kind of want like this tight little archway that's covered in thatch and blah 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 blah, and then you walk through there and you walk into the main dome, where I think I'm going to put the Aardvark inside, and it'll have an outside bit as well. I'm not really sure what I'm doing with the dome, or indeed anything else after the dome, but the dome was important. It is the entrance, and I had another idea. Well, I add trees, because I was always going to add trees. So I had a bit of a thought, how I was going to do. Okay, so the plan has always been to have the North Africa and South Africa, and you go around both, and then you go through the middle, and you see all the animals together, right? And that's the unification of these two disparate realms. That was kind of our theming from the get-go, right? I still really want to do that. So what I was thinking, if you imagine the park splits off at the start, and it's like a circle, like a teardrop with a very little tear bit at the bottom. It splits off and you walk around to the left and you go down the south and then you go around the north, or you walk to the right and you go through the north and you go through the south. And that'll bring you back to the start, just like in every zoo, it's a loop, right? And then the idea is, once you've done the loop, you walk through the middle, like down the centre of the teardrop, and that'll get you to this sort of unified magical realm where we're going to go hard on the fantasy elements. It's going to be way over the top. I cannot wait. It's going to be underground, like a giant cave with mushrooms and flat. It's going to be amazing. Hanging some lanterns here. This actually looks pretty cool in nighttime. I decided to do a little bit of lighting work for like the first time in the zoo. I just wanted it to look like fire, basically. So hanging some baskets up, sink them down there. We will be using the same technique a little bit later on, so keep an eye out for that. What I was thinking is making like a little station, right? So every animal you go see, there's like this little station, this little thing, like a little display. And what you can do is take like a little sticker, or like a little tab, or like a little piece of paper or whatever, and like a little picture of the animal. Oh, we're building a fire pit here, by the way, which again comes from the image. And there is an African fire pit actually. Planet Zoo does provide one, but it isn't great. It's not got the rustic feel I wanted. So I'm going to make my own fire pit. I think it's pretty cool actually. Anyways, so you go to all the exhibits and you collect, like, maybe you've got like this little sticker book and you collect the sticker of your elephant, you collect the sticker of your hippopotamus, and you fill this book in, right? Just darkening the ground there, so, you know, it looks like there's been fire, looks like there's some burning going on. Anyways, you fill this book in, and then you come round to the middle, and you have to walk through like a little checkpoint. And there will be a person there, a guard or whatever, not like a spooky guard, but a nice guard. There's my fire pit, a little hanging basket, it's like a spit roast thing, you know? I liked it. Now, this was an idea I had. This is the actual real fire pit the game gives you, to cover the ground in the ashes and the fire and the embers, and it just looks stupid. So I'm going to do all of this and then delete it. But it's a good time to carry on what I'm talking about. And he checks your book, right? And he sees that you've gone through the north and the south. The idea is you can't go through the middle until you've seen the north and the south, because the idea is you experience both their stories, and then you get to unify them at the end, right? That's the whole theme. So if we do it like this, maybe it's not realistic, because I don't think a zoo, it just looks stupid. I don't think a zoo would limit what animals you can see like that. But all the animals in the middle will also be visible elsewhere in the park. The whole point is to unify them. I'm going to put some logs in here. There you go. There you go. There's a little fire pit. I think that's all I did with it, right? Yeah, a little fire pit. There you go. I'm going to stick a little bit of fire there underneath the whole thing so it kind of glows up at night. It'd be nice if I could have actual fire. That'd be really cool, but unfortunately it's not to be. It looks quite nice though. A little fire pit. Anyways, so then you hand the guy your book and he checks and he's, okay, you've been through the north, you've been through the south, you can enter now. And that way, everyone who goes through into this realm, this magical realm, is somebody who's experienced both sides of the park. I thought it was a good idea. I think we're going to lean in that direction. I think that's something we're going to do. I'm going to build like a little thing. Yeah, you'll kind of see what I'm getting at later on more. So this is meant to be a, again, based on what I was seeing. What I wanted to do was like a skinning rack. You know, it's like they've stretched out this animal skin. I can see it, and they're drying it out in the sun. Unfortunately, Planet Zoo does not provide dead animal skins, so we're instead going to make like a little piece of fabric, and we're going to build like a little river that ends around here. And the idea being, this is just where the townspeople, well, the people who live in this little hut, maybe just a family who live here, they'd go by the river, they'd wash their clothing, they'd wash their rags, they'd wash their blankets, blah blah blah, they'd wash their stuff, is what I'm getting at here, and then they'd hang it up to dry nearby, because that makes sense, right? Why would you take it all the way back while it's wet? You'd want to hang it up after washing it. So yeah, I think that's quite a quintessential imagery in some ways as well, you know. Usually African women with baskets on their head, or big bundles of, you know, fabrics going down to a river, going down to a water somewhere, and washing it all and then bundling it back, stuff like that. So I wanted to lean in that direction a little bit as well. But it could be an African guy. I'm not saying it has to be the women. I'm just saying that's like the image. Anyways, I like the idea. And then I kind of ran out of ideas. Had to have some little baskets. That one's going to sort of tilt down at the edge of the water a little bit. In terms of design for this, it's nearly done, folks. Like, the actual hut is nearly finished. This was not a long build. Part of me, I was very close to not uploading this video at all. I still haven't, technically. Just because it feels quite unimpactful. Part of me really enjoyed like the initial bit, you know, building it and basing it on what I was seeing. My problem with it isn't so much the hut and everything else, it's everything else. It's how the rest of the park is tying together. I'm hoping that'll feel better after the actual this hut bit is done, basically, and we get onto the next animal, basically. It's been a while since I've added a new animal. The hippo took so bloody long. It'd be nice to move on to what is probably going to be an aardvark, I think. There you go, so I'm going to do that kind of little test. So the idea is you cross over the entranceway, you can go to the left for Hippo Harbour, or you can carry on and swoop down there to the left and that's going to take you to the south, or you can swing to the right and you'll go to the north, basically. And those are the two disparate parts, and then you loop all the way around, you experience both in their totality, and you come back and you get to go down the middle. I think it's a good idea. I like it as a plan. I think I'm going to lean in that direction a lot. Just doing some typical foliage here. Really, again, the whole point of this part of the zoo is not to go too hard on the foliage. It should feel demonstrably less lifey and colourful than the other half. And it's making it a little annoying for me to build, because I love foliage. I want to put foliage everywhere, and I'm really resisting. And even my resisting version has quite a lot of foliage. But maybe that's why I'm feeling uninspired. It's just because it doesn't totally suit my sensibilities as a designer, I guess. Anyways, just doing the backdrop for the pathing. You can't just have the path floating. It looks silly. It really does. So you've got to have something supporting it. And I thought we'll use the sort of logs that we've already been using. I think it looks quite nice, actually. Sink those bad boys down in there. Lovely stuff. That one's a little bit out of place, as you can see. You'll fix that in a second. Don't you worry about it, love. Don't you worry about it. There we go. Yeah, so I was just checking the animals, making sure I knew what I was doing. Make sure elephants was part of this one, basically. I needed something. Like, this is meant to be... Okay, the hut bit is meant to be realistic and look like the hut, based on the image I saw. But the whole thing is meant to be the grand entrance to an entire half of the zoo, basically. It's like the introduction to the north in its entirety. So I wanted it to have some spectacle to it. And at the end of the day, it's a zoo. It should have designs, it should have statues, it should have stuff. So I'm going to try to focus a little more on that and a little less on my own theming. I love theming so much. I can't resist the theming. But I have to resist the theming. Anyways, we're going to build like a little entrance sign here, just saying the north, basically. Of course, in Afrikaans. We'll be doing another one of these for the south as well, whenever it is we next move on to the south. I don't know when that's going to be, a couple of episodes time, I'm sure. And, yeah, me. Well, basically just basing this on the entrance sign. I think it was a nice design, you know, it worked pretty well, so didn't really see any reason to change things up. Going back to our lovely graffiti text, love this stuff from the bottom of my heart. It's so cool, and it's so perfect. It is made for this zoo, I swear. It's absolutely made for this zoo. So I believe the south, the north, the south? Maybe it is the south. No, it is the south. Is it the south? I can't remember anymore. It's the Swede. Wait, I'm going to check. English to Afrikaans. The north. No, it's the south. I've been saying the north the whole thing. It's actually the south. So the north is the wet bit, and the south is the dry bit. It's the opposite. No, we're not going there. Anyways, so this Swede. Wait, did I misspell that? I think I'm missing a letter. I think they're meant to be in. No, wait, no, I don't think I am. Is there meant to be an E on the end? No, I don't know how you would say it. S-U-I-D, Swede. It's probably not Swede. Swede. Would be my guess, but I'm not sure. Anyways, just putting a little sign in there saying the south. Again, very much like the entrance sign, just, you know, making it match basically. Hippo Harbour has a very similar sign, but it's a little less themed. It doesn't have the, just leaning into the word, it doesn't have the Afrikaans signage either on the actual sign. I wanted it to feel like a smaller version of the primary signs. The entrance sign should be the big one, the north sign should be a little bit smaller, and the Hippo Harbour sign should be a little bit smaller than that. And I think it works pretty well. Now, I wanted to do a little sign here, like a little just custom written sign saying, for the north, carry on walking, or something like that. I do want to also build like an info board explaining this north-south divide and, you know, what people are actually experiencing. We're going to do that in the future. And for some reason, my custom signs, they stopped working entirely. Like, I literally couldn't write text in them. It was really, really weird. And it wasn't just those ones either. I tried the, I want to use the little font here, but it's such a pain in the ass, I can't bring myself to do it. What was I going to say? Yeah, like those, you know, those sort of tall, slightly conical ones that I've been using on both sides of the entrance to an enclosure. Even those, which I know work, because I've used them several times in this very same park, I couldn't change the text. I clicked on one that I'd already edited, and I couldn't change the text. I have no idea why whatsoever. I wasn't in a group or anything like that. It was very strange. So I can do my little signage, but I will fix that before the end. So we're bringing in terrain. I really want this bit to feel closed off and like its own thing. And the terrain is actually going to carry on just up to the river. And the idea is when you cross the river, that's when you enter the south. So the south is going to be the north. The entrance to the north is a little bit further on than the entrance to the south, but they loop back around each other anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And then, so there's going to be this big sort of length of terrain right in that middle bit between the north and the south, and through there is where you'll eventually go when you've done the entire loop of the park. That's the theory so far. I do need to make it feel more park-esque once we get through these entrance bits, especially the south one. It definitely doesn't feel like a zoo. I keep saying park. Jurassic World Evolution has ruined me. It definitely feels like you're actually in an African village, which is cool, but it's not good for a zoo. So I'm going to go back in hard on like education signs and stuff like that as soon as we get through that, you know. And we're going to have the signs again, and things are going to feel like a zoo, but with a nice rustic touch. That's the hope. I'm trying to justify my own stuff here. I don't know. It's just one of those days. I think, in my defense, I should say I have a killer throat. Painful throat. Not my throat is not a killer. That would be terrifying. But my throat has been really badly hurting this week. I've been sick for the last 7 or 8 days. It's gotten pretty bad at certain times. I don't think it's anything serious because I think I'd be in worse state by now if it was. But it's not been good either way. So I'm just trying to sort of get back into things now a little bit, basically, and hopefully, I mean, it looks nice occasionally. Occasionally, it looks nice. I'll give myself that. Occasionally, it looks nice. I mean, I'm happy with the design. I wasn't going to do this, but we are going to very quickly hop in game just so you can see it a little bit better. Before we do that, I will show you what I based it on. And you can see it there. There you go. Right there. Bam. So I think it's You can see what I mean by the totems, right? So the logs are pointing forward, and then they go up. And inside it's not a totem, but it's like an entrance thing, has the same thing. And the hut is like lots and lots of, maybe not thatch, but the roof is very dominant. There's some trees behind there, like we've got. There's a little sort of campfire thing going on there. I tried. So let's hop. That's very blurry. Let's hop into the game very quickly, and I'll show you that, but just for a couple of minutes. We're not doing much today. I need to go rest, basically. Here we go then. So, as I say, you approach from this time of day is beautiful, by the way, really, really nice. You approach from here, the Aarde surround. I'm just going to give up on the pronunciation. And you're presented with sort of two choices initially. You can go to Hippo Harbour if you want. Hippo Harbour kind of stands on its own because not only is it the Hippo Enclosure, but it's also the boat tour for the entire park. So I'm okay with separating that out once again. You know, like how the Warthog and the Giraffe aren't part of the North-South divide? Well, neither is Hippo Harbour, really. It's definitely themed. It's definitely themed after the North. It's definitely themed after the North, and the Hippo is part of the North in general, but itself isn't part of the break point between the two. Anyway, so you can go to Hippo Harbour, and you can leave there down here. And you can see this is the terrain. There's a lion, because I like that. I want the lion there. Obviously the terrain and everything's going to look different, but I like the lion. And the idea is you're going to walk along here. You get another chance to see the hippos. Obviously we'll decorate here, we'll put in education signs, stuff like that. And then you'll cross this bridge eventually over the river, down here. That's where we're going to do a lot of our exhibits for the north side of the park. Originally I wasn't meant to cross the river. Actually, maybe I'm not crossing the river. I am. So we're going to cross the river. This is where you're going to head for the north side of the park. I'm probably over the river. Like this whole area over here. We can use the whole thing. And as you approach the bridge, obviously it won't look like this. We'll have another entrance sign just to say the north. The north? The north. So that's where you'll break off to the north. That's where you break off to the south. Go around that way, or go around that way. You come back, and then around here there'll be a cave, and you'll be able to walk down here. You'll be able to check your little stickers, and this is where you'll enter through the middle, right between the two, and that'll be our fantasy realm mix match. Basically, big stupid thing to finish the whole thing off, which I'm excited about. For now, I need to work on the south. The south feels unloved. I love Hippo Harbour. For those of you who missed my last video, by the way, we did like a big 2.5 hour stream or something like that, and we went and we finished off Hippo Harbour. So we did a lot more terrain work. We made the mountain look a lot better. We made a new little dome for the entrance. We did some theming around here in general. We just decorated Hippo Harbour entirely, and I think it came out looking much better. I wonder if my signs work. I'm gonna pause it again. Everything's mating. I can't even click that one. What about this one? It seems to be working again. That's good stuff. So we finished off Hippo Harbour, and I really like it. I think it really stands out, something special in the zoo, and I need to make sure the south gets that as well. You know, just because the north has the moisture and the greenery that I like to build with, doesn't mean it should have all the fun. So we'll have to come up with some stuff for the south to have some cool things as well. Anyways, so you go around, you go to Hippo Harbour there, or indeed you can go to the south, and that's where you're going to see the elephants. That's going to lure people there, because the north looks nice and right now, but the south has elephants. So which way are you going to go? Exactly. The sword, the south. And you walk around here, and you're going to walk through there. So you walk along, blocked all that off. Do need to do it on that side as well. We'll obviously have some barriers up here as well. That's all. I do like how it looks. I have to keep convincing myself, but I do like how it looks. And then you've got the little drying station over there with the tilted over bucket. We have my little man-made thingamajiggy fire pit cooking station. We've got a little kiln over there. There's our mascot for this side of the park, our little hanging fire baskets to light the entrance up. And yeah, just it's all generally, it's realistic. I will give myself that. It is realistic. It really is. Let's reference one more time. There you go, that's what the real one looks like. Hey, it's good, right? Hey, it's quite close. I think these are actually really effective, these little totem thingies. I don't know what they're meant to be, but they look good. They look good. They look effective. It just feels... I mean, you look at it like from there, right? That's one side, that's the other. It feels really neglected right now, so what I'm considering is not doing the Aardvark. Because the Aardvark can't have a huge exhibit, it just can't. I don't know what else we do in here, other than maybe like a little entrance. Maybe this is just where I tell the start of the story. Maybe we can make this look like a little camp, or a little, like an actual tent where people would live. Or indeed, maybe we can do the Aardvark and then just do a big ass exhibit over here. Who knows? Who knows? I am very much up for suggestions, ladies and gentlemen. But there is the entrance to the south. And it's just like a walking tour, adventure sort of thing. No boats or anything on that side. I'm just worried that it's going to end up neglected compared to the other side, you know, and I really don't want that, because there's some cool animals to come on this side, so I want to make sure they feel cool. Everyone should feel special. And right now I think the hippos feel much more special than everybody else. But we'll come up with something. Feel free to hit me up with some suggestions and stuff. I think we do the Aardvarks. I like the idea of the Aardvarks in here, but maybe they can have an outside bit as well. I did have an idea for an Aardvark enclosure that I really, really liked. Maybe, cheeky little idea, just got up. What if we make this an Aardvark habitat, the whole dome, right? And we have it as a walk-through enclosure. So we'll put the gate right here, like over this bit, and you walk in, and you walk into the dome, and the whole dome, there's just Aardvarks bounding around and stuff like that, and we can give them an outdoor bit as well. And then you walk through, and then it goes back into like normal zoo mode, with still some of the rustic touches, but it feels more like a zoo again, and we get some of those bigger enclosures, and we bring in a nice big animal to make this side feel special, and we give it something, some height and stuff, you know, like we have with Hippo Harbour. I like that idea. I think we're going to do that. I don't know why this is bugging me so much. I put a lot of pressure on myself. I know I do, like it's crazy, but I genuinely feel a lot of pressure to make it look good and to feel positive about what I'm doing, and I sure will do it sometimes. But I like that idea. I think that's cool. I think we're going to open up the back of this. Near enough entirely the back of the hut. What is that? I think we just open up that back bit and then you walk through. See the Aardvarks, and the Aardvarks are going to have like an outdoor bit that sort of goes. What I think I'll do is I'm going to sketch out the middle bit, and then I can sort of build around it. So if we get the terrain tool and we flatten it, we kind of go like this, and we do that for like the whole thing, right? That would be, say, spaced out for the middle, and then we know that the loop has to kind of come around that bit, if that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. I'm quite excited about the joining point as well. At some point, the north and the south have to meet right at that top point over there. So, but yeah, you can come through, walk out here maybe, and then that's the rest of the Aardvark Enclosure. So you wouldn't walk through the outside bit. I do have a little bit of an idea in mind for what the Aardvark Enclosure would look like as a little teaser before I go, because I do have to go. I have food in the oven and I'm sleeping. Food in the oven that's meant to come out 7.5 minutes ago. I saw the, like, Aardvarks like to dig and stuff, right? They like burrows and stuff like that. And when I was looking through Pinterest, I saw this. It's, again, African. It's like this wall of houses, or like wall of little burrows in the wall. And they had like lots of little windows. It's hard to describe. You can kind of imagine you're looking at a wall, like a wall facing us. So this would be pointing upwards. And it's kind of like, can I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All these little burrows pointing in. So I'm thinking you sort of decorate it so it looks like a tribal wall. It looks like a hut. It looks like a building with all these little burrows in. And behind that, it's like an indoor bit for the Aardvarks, and they can climb up and walk out. You'd see them walking around in the gaps in this wall, which would look maybe like a hut, maybe like a, I don't know, it would look like something. I'm thinking of using the sandstone. Oh, sandstone. Should we use sandstone? Is that crazy? Do you ever use sandstone in Africa? I'd have to Google that. I like the idea. Maybe that could be, because I don't love, the mud's okay, but I don't love the mud. I'd love to use some sandstone. If I can find proper evidence of sandstone being used in particularly South Africa, that can be our theme for the South part, right? And that'd be really good, because the South needs a hook. The North has all the water. It's got the boat tour. It's got all the foliage. The South is dead. It needs a hook other than its sort of rusticness. And it also needs stuff that's going to help it feel more like an actual zoo. And I think bringing the sandstone in could be that hook. So I'll do some research and I'll find out. But I've got to go. This was meant to end ages ago. Thank you for joining me, folks. Yeah, feel free to hit me up with any ideas, suggestions. I am very much open to them. I do like this bit. I think it needs barriers on there. Maybe it needs some stuff to make it more zoo-like, I think. But in terms of the realism, I'm quite happy with it. It's realistic. I'll give it that much. But that's about it. Right. Hit me up in the comment section. I will see you lovely folks next time. I promise I'll be more prepared and feeling it more. I just need to recover from whatever the hell's been beating on me for the last few days. Until that next video, thank you so much for joining me. Hit the like button if you feel sorry for me. Cheers, much love as always. Bye-bye. Hey folks, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to help support me a little bit more, you can do so at patreon.com/bestinslot. There's a link in the description down below. Every little really does help in times like these, but it's not at all expected, and by just watching the video you've already helped me out massively, and it makes you a pretty cool person, so well done you. Thanks for joining me either way, I'll see you next time.